Welcome to Let the Quran Speak. What was the Prophet's night journey and ascension like? That's the subject of our discussion now. We are continuing our series on misunderstood Quranic verses, and with me is Dr. Shabir. Dr. Shabir, welcome to Let the Quran Speak.
Pleasure to be on.
The verse we're looking at is from chapter 17, verse 1. So we're moving on to a new chapter, Dr. Shabir. And this is one translation. Glory to him who made his servant travel by night from the sacred place of worship to the furthest place of worship, whose surroundings we have blessed, to show him some of our signs. He alone is all-hearing, the all-seeing. So tell me about this verse, Dr. Shabir, and what's so misunderstood in your mind about it?
So let me read it in Arabic first, and then we will analyze it carefully. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Subhanalladhi asra bi'abdihi layla min al-masjid al-haram ila al-masjid al-aqsa alladhi barakna hawlahu linuriyahu min ayatina. Innahu huwa as-sami' al-basir. Before I venture further into the translation of this, I just want to point out something that may be a curiosity for listeners, in that there is a shift going back and forth between speaking of God in the third person and then speaking of God in the second person, and in the first person rather. So third person, he; first person, like I or we. Okay?
Oh, okay. I didn't notice that before. Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out.
It starts with the third person, Subhanalladhi, glory be to the one who, to God who, transported his servant by night, linuriyahu, so that we may show him. So now God in the first person, so that we may show him some of our signs. Innahu, back to God in the third person. Innahu huwa as-sami' al-basir. Certainly he is the seer and the hearer and the seer. He hears and sees all things. Why this switching back and forth? Neil Robinson, in his book, The Quran, the Quran Rediscovered, Discovering the Quran, I think that's the title of his, Neil Robinson. He has gone into some detailed discussion about this without repeating verbatim what he said, but capturing an idea from that and adding a flavor of my own, especially with reference to this particular verse. We can see it's almost like a dialogue going on between like us speaking about God in the third person and God interjecting with his own first-person perspective. So we started by saying, glory be to the one who transported his servant by night. And God, interjects by saying, we did that so as to show him some of our signs. And then we say, certainly God is seeing and hearing all things. Right? So that's why when we read the Quran, we have this kind of a deep impression in our minds of what's, and a close connection with God, because we are in dialogue with God constantly throughout the Quran without realizing it. It's all subconscious, very subtle. You've been reading the verse for a long time and you know some Arabic. And yet,
I know this verse. I memorized it.
Exactly, but you didn't realize that this was happening. So it's subconscious unless one comes, with an analytical mind and says, let's try to decipher this. Anyway, the question that arose in the minds of Muslims is about this night journey and ascension of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Was it a physical journey, in that did his physical body, get up from where it was, or got lifted up from where it was and got transported to another land and then came back? Or was it a spiritual experience? Was this a kind of vision? Of course, not an ordinary dream, like people see dreams and they're all mixed up and messed up. But in the case of the Prophet, a dream is one of the modes of revelation. God is giving a message to the Prophet, peace be upon him. So was he shown this in a sort of vision while he remained in a semi-sleeping state, or did he wake up and go and physically make this journey? So some of the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, as noted by Ibn Ishaq in his biography of the Prophet, peace be upon him, held the view that while it was a true vision, nonetheless it was a vision. It wasn't like the Prophet's body did not go. Some say that the bed was still warm where his body had lain, and some said that the gate was still like swaying on its hinge. It's like the gate open, still there before it could shut. The Prophet is back. right? So they used such references to give the impression that it's not like the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, his body was taken from one land, deposited into another, and then back. Now, the Quranic verse only mentions the journey from the sacred mosque, which is the Masjid al-Haram in Mecca, to the Masjid al-Aqsa. Well, that's the term, the Masjid al-Aqsa, which literally means the farthest mosque. And that is taken by commentators to mean the Temple Mount.
Mosque.
The Temple Mount.
Okay.
Temple Mount in Jerusalem, where today we have a mosque that is called Al-Masjid al-Aqsa. But this is a new construction. This was built after the Prophet, peace be upon him, passed away. And there is also the Dome of the Rock on the same Temple Mount. The whole Temple Mount is referred to as Al-Haram al-Sharif, the noble sanctuary, on which we have, sites related to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And we just continue to pray that the followers of these three great religions will learn to live in peace in such sacred territory. Nonetheless, the point then that I wanted to clear up about this is that some say, because they argue for the physicalness of the journey, they say that the mention of the word abd in this verse, meaning servant, can only mean that the Prophet, peace be upon him, was taken bodily as well. And I'm wondering, where did they get this kind of stretched reasoning from? Because abd just simply means servant, and if on the view of body soul dualism, if we're both body and soul, then the soul is really the abd. That is the key component, because the body may die and disintegrate, but the soul remains, and that is still a servant of God. We're servants of God now with our bodies, and after we leave this world and the body behind, we will still be servants of God. Our souls will be servants of God. The angels are referred to in the Quran in the 21st chapter as Ibadur Rahman. They are the servants of the merciful God. So they are servants of God, and the same abd in plural, ibad. And the fact that we don't conceive of them as being as having bodies does not preclude us from thinking of them as servants of God. Servants just simply mean that they serve God. It's a bit of a specious sort of reasoning to say that it must have been physical because of the use of the word abd. No, a more like a stronger argument in the case is to say, well, the revilers would not have been so staunch in their rejection of the Prophet's message if he was just declaring to them that he just had a dream. But we can respond to that by saying first that we're not talking about an ordinary dream. This is a prophet showing that he's gotten a revelation of the heavens and so on. And the people at the time found it difficult to believe in the existence of heaven and hell. So the prophet saying to them, I got a revelation that this is all true, they will be rejecting the belief itself that there is a heaven and a hell, and by extension they will be negating this whole experience. So they would be protesting, to be sure. A further point should be noticed about this is that we know of the rejection of the others from the biographical literature, and that was written after the Quranic revelation was completed and after the death of the Prophet, peace be upon him. So we should be careful about using details from the biographical literature to interpret such an important aspect of the Quranic revelation. Like when we're asking what does the verse mean, to bring in something foreign from the Quran, unless something is on good solid ground, and to use that to steer the interpretation of the Quranic verse, I think that's a little bit misguided, though it has been so commonly done in our past. But we don't have to continue making the same mistake. So looking at the Quran by itself, it simply mentions the night journey of the servant from this mosque to the other mosque, and it is possible for some people to interpret that as a physical journey if they tend towards accepting things in a miraculous way.
And many Muslims do.
And many Muslims do, yeah. But those who like to see things explained scientifically, they want more rational explanations, and they want to see that things happen according to natural laws and so on, they might prefer the view that this was a vision that the Prophet, peace be upon him, saw. In fact, later on in the chapter, it is is mentioned that God showed the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, a vision. The 53rd chapter of the Quran, which seems to be referring to the same event as well, speaks about the Prophet, peace be upon him, being shown a vision, and so on. So they might be inclined to that view, and so both views are possible and can be held by Muslims praying side by side with each other.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Muslim Media Hub, the new home of Let the Quran Speak.
Here we spread positivity and good. We help people experience the beauty of Islam and help them appreciate and understand Muslims.
This beautiful building we purchased at cost $2.3 million.
Yeah, we've already raised a third of that money, and with your help, inshallah, we can pay off the rest.
So we're looking for people who can give $1,000 each. If you can be part of the select group, that's amazing.
Otherwise, just please give whatever you can. Every dollar counts.
It's our collective responsibility to share the message of Islam with our fellow human beings. Please help us continue this good work.
It's a sadaqah jariyah, something that will continue to be a benefit to the Muslim community long after Safiya and I are gone.
Please support our work at muslimmediahub.com.
Your support is zakat eligible and tax deductible.
May Allah bless you and your loved ones today and always. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.